I told my family I lost my job and needed to move in with them. When they said, "We don't want you here without money," I smiled and said, "Guess what? I just sold the house we own together." Hey everyone, before we dive in, I have a quick favor to ask. If you enjoy content like this, please hit the subscribe button. It's free, supports the channel, and ensures you never miss out on amazing videos. Alright, let's get started. It started with a photo. Last Sunday, I was going through old boxes in our family home's attic when I found a picture of my parents on their wedding day, standing proudly in front of this very house. There was something written on the back. Our dream is for our children to share this home and its memories forever. That's when I knew what I had to do. For context, my siblings and I inherited this house 2 years ago. It's a beautiful colonial in Massachusetts that our parents bought in their 20s and spent their whole lives improving. When they passed, they left it to the three of us. Me, 35M, my brother Jack, 40M, and my sister Adeline, 32F, in equal shares. The agreement was simple. We'd maintain it together, maybe use it for family gatherings, possibly even rent it out and split the proceeds. That's not how things worked out. See, I've been the one handling everything for the past 2 years. The property taxes, I make sure they're paid on time. The leaky roof last winter, I coordinated with contractors and fronted the money. The endless paperwork, all me. Meanwhile, my dear brother Jack has been living in his McMansion 30 minutes away, contributing nothing but complaints about how I'm managing things wrong. Last month, I discovered something interesting in my email. Jack had been secretly reaching out to real estate agents, trying to figure out how to force a buyout without my knowledge. He didn't know I had set up forwarding for all property-related emails. Classic Jack, always thinking he's the smartest person in the room. That's when I decided to run a little experiment. I called a family meeting last weekend. Everyone gathered in the living room. Jack, his wife Maria, their kids Isaac and Haley, and Adeline. I told them I had some bad news. I'd lost my job and needed a place to stay while I got back on my feet. Maybe I could move into the family house for a few months? The reaction was illuminating. Jack immediately started listing reasons why that wouldn't work. The house isn't set up for permanent living, he said, conveniently forgetting our parents lived here for 40 years. Maria chimed in about how it would complicate things with their plans for the property. Adeline just sat there avoiding eye contact. Then came the kicker. Jack looked me straight in the eye and said, "Look, we don't want you here without money. It's not personal, it's just business." Not personal. The house our parents wanted us to share as a family. I couldn't help but smile. "That's interesting," I said, pulling out my phone, "because I've spent the last month talking to buyers who are very interested in this place. And guess what? As an equal owner, I have every right to initiate a sale." The room went dead silent. Jack's face turned an interesting shade of purple. Maria started sputtering about family loyalty. Adeline finally looked up, eyes wide. "You can't do that," Jack said, his voice shaking. "We won't agree to it." I pulled out a folder I'd prepared. "Actually, I can. I've documented every penny I've spent maintaining this place over the past 2 years. I've got proof of your attempts to secretly buy me out. I've got records of every time you've blocked my suggestions for renting it out. Oh, and I've got 3 potential buyers who are very interested in a property in this neighborhood." "But what about Mom and Dad's wishes?" Adeline finally spoke up. I showed them the wedding photo. "Their wish was for us to share this place as a family. Instead, you've treated me like a property manager you don't have to pay. When I needed help, you showed exactly how much family matters to you." Jack started threatening legal action. Maria burst into tears, saying I was destroying the family. Their kids, who had been quietly watching from the stairs, looked more intrigued than upset. Smart kids. They've probably seen through their parents' act too. I stayed calm. "Here's what's going to happen. We can either have a civilized discussion about selling this place and splitting the proceeds fairly, or we can do this the hard way. Your choice." I got up and walked to the door, turning back one last time. "Oh, and Jack, next time you try to go behind someone's back, make sure they haven't set up email forwarding first." The look on his face was priceless. I'm writing this from my apartment, where I've been fielding angry calls and texts all day. Jack's apparently contacted a lawyer. Adeline keeps sending me guilt trip messages about family legacy. Maria's posting vague status updates about betrayal. But you know what? For the first time in 2 years, I feel like I'm finally honoring what our parents actually wanted. Not a house that divides us, but the courage to stand up for what's right. The best part? I never actually lost my job. And those buyers I mentioned? They're real. But I haven't accepted any offers yet. Sometimes you need to shake the tree to see what falls out. I have a feeling this is just the beginning. But at least now, everyone's cards are on the table. If anything interesting happens, I'll update. Something tells me Jack isn't going to let this go quietly. Update 1. First off, thank you for all the support on my last post. Things have escalated since then. Remember how I mentioned Jack might not let this go quietly? Well, that was an understatement. Yesterday morning, I got a certified letter from his lawyer. It was full of fancy legal language, but basically accused me of acting in bad faith and attempting to undermine the family's joint ownership of inherited property. The irony of Jack talking about bad faith is just chef's kiss. But here's where it gets interesting. Last night, I got an unexpected text from my nephew Isaac, Jack's son, 16. He asked if he could stop by my apartment after school. I was surprised. Jack and Maria usually keep the kids away from any family drama, but Isaac showed up around 4 p.m., looking nervous but determined. Dad's been going through all the old house papers, he told me, fidgeting with his phone. He was up until 3 a.m. last night, throwing stuff around his office. I heard him telling Mom something about documents from Grandpa that would fix everything. I offered him some soda and waited. There's always more when teenagers volunteer information. But that's not why I came, Isaac continued. Remember last summer when you were teaching me about computers? Well, I still have access to that shared family cloud drive you set up. Dad's been uploading all these old documents, and I think you should see some of them. Smart kid. I pulled up the drive on my laptop, and there they were, scans of documents going back years. Most were mundane, but a few caught my attention, particularly the ones with surprisingly fresh-looking signatures from our parents dated after they had passed away. I kept my face neutral, but my mind was racing. Thanks, Isaac. This is helpful. He nodded, understanding more than he let on. Dad's telling everyone you're having some kind of breakdown. Aunt Adeline is posting about how concerned she is about your mental health. Mom's got this whole prayer chain thing going on Facebook. That explained the sudden flood of concerned messages from distant relatives and family friends. Classic small-town drama tactics. But they don't know what I actually did. See, I never actually listed the house for sale. I never even contacted real estate agents. What I did do was spend the last 6 months meticulously documenting everything. Every repair bill I paid alone. Every time Jack or Adeline voted down my suggestions for renting the place. Every manipulative email about family responsibility when I asked them to contribute. Every document Jack apparently forged. Every social media post they've made trying to paint me as unstable. Every text message where they discussed ways to force me out. I also hired an independent appraiser. Turns out the property is worth significantly more than Jack's generous offer to buy me out. Funny how that works. The real kicker came this morning. My sister Adeline showed up at my door, which was surprising since she's been firmly on Team Jack until now. I need to ask you something, she said, not meeting my eyes. Did you know about the trust? I waited. Because I found something in Mom's old papers. There was supposed to be a trust. The house wasn't meant to be inherited directly. It was supposed to go into a family trust with specific conditions about how it could be used or sold. Now that was interesting, but that's not what happened, I said carefully. No, she whispered. Jack handled all the paperwork after they died. He said it was simpler this way. I asked her if she'd be willing to put that in writing. She left without answering, but I saw her hand shaking. An hour later, my phone buzzed. A text from Maria. We need to talk. Just us. No lawyers. I responded with a simple, when and where. Her reply came quickly. Tomorrow, 2 p.m., the house. Shortly after, Jack called. I let it go to voicemail. His message was different from his usual threatening tone. He actually sounded scared. Here's what they don't know. I've already spoken with a lawyer specializing in estate fraud. Everything I've collected is safely backed up in multiple places. And tomorrow at 2 p.m., I'm not just meeting Maria. I'm bringing documentation of every single thing they've tried to hide for the past 2 years. The house isn't the real issue anymore. It never was. This is about years of manipulation, gaslighting, and fraud, and thanks to their panic-induced scrambling, they've given me exactly what I needed to prove it. I'm actually grateful they threatened legal action. It's made everything so much clearer. I'll update after tomorrow's meeting. Something tells me it's going to be memorable. P.S. Isaac, if you're reading this, and I know you are, don't worry. Sometimes family loyalty means standing up to family. Your dad's going to learn that lesson one way or another. Update 2. I've been staring at my screen for an hour, trying to figure out how to write this update. The meeting happened. But before I get into that, I need to explain why I really started all of this. It wasn't just about the house. 5 years ago, when Mom was sick, I moved back home to help care for her. Dad had passed the year before, and she needed someone around. Jack was too busy with his life 30 minutes away. Adeline was finding herself in Colorado, so it was just me and Mom, spending our evenings in the kitchen, where she taught me all our old family recipes and told stories about the house. One night, about 3 months before she passed, she called me into her study. She was having what she called a clear day, rare moments when the medication fog lifted and she was fully herself. She handed me a blue folder. Your father and I set everything up properly, she said, her voice stronger than it had been in weeks. The trust, the conditions, everything. Jack has copies. Promise me you'll all take care of each other. I promised. Then she had a bad spell, and by morning she didn't remember our conversation. I forgot about the folder in the chaos of the following weeks, until yesterday. The meeting at the house started exactly as I expected. Maria arrived first, all concerned faces, and we need to work this out as a family. Jack showed up 10 minutes later, trying to play it cool, but obviously tense. Adeline came last, clutching her tablet like a shield. I let them talk first. Maria went on about family harmony. Jack threw around terms like reasonable compensation and equitable distribution. Adeline kept glancing at her tablet, barely speaking. Then I opened my laptop and played the video. It was from Dad's 70th birthday 5 years ago. Everyone was there, gathered in the backyard. Mom was still healthy then, serving her famous lemon cake. In the background, you can clearly hear Jack talking to his friend about the house. Once the old folks are gone, I'll handle the paperwork. Alex and Adeline won't know what hit them. This place will be worth a fortune after the new development goes in next door. The new development. The one that broke ground last month. The one Jack never mentioned when he was trying to buy us out. I paused the video. Want to explain that, Jack? He started sputtering about things taken out of context. Maria jumped in with, that was years ago, people say stupid things. Adeline just sat there, getting paler by the minute. Then I pulled out the blue folder. Remember this, Jack? Mom's trust documents? The ones that mysteriously disappeared after she passed? I found the original copy yesterday, buried in a box of Christmas decorations in the attic. Mom always did hide important things in plain sight. The trust was explicit. The house was to be maintained as a family property for 10 years after both parents' passing. If sold before then, 50% of the proceeds would go to local charities they supported. Any rental income would be split equally. All 3 children would need to agree unanimously on any changes. Jack broke first. You don't understand. That development is going to triple property values. I was trying to protect our investment. By forging documents, by gaslighting me about Mom's wishes, by spreading rumors about my mental health. That's when Adeline finally spoke up. She turned her tablet around. On it was a series of emails between Jack and the development company dating back 3 years. He'd been feeding them information about the neighborhood, helping them plan their expansion. In return, they promised him inside information about property value changes. I found these last night, she said quietly. They were in Dad's old email account, the one Jack said he'd closed. Maria started crying. Not the manipulative tears from before, but real, ugly sobs. He said it was just business, she kept repeating. He said nobody would get hurt. I let the silence stretch out. Outside, I could hear the construction equipment from the development, the constant beeping of trucks backing up, the sound of progress. Finally, I laid out my terms. We follow the original trust requirements. Jack steps down from any involvement in property decisions. All rental income goes into a separate account managed by an independent trustee. No sales discussions until the 10-year mark. Jack admits to the document fraud in writing. And if I refuse? Jack asked, but his voice had lost its edge. I pulled out one final document. Then this, evidence of trust fraud, goes to the authorities. Your choice. He signed everything within an hour. Adeline stayed behind after the others left. We sat on the porch swing, just like we used to as kids. Why didn't you tell me what you suspected? She asked. Would you have believed me over Jack? She didn't answer, but she didn't have to. As I locked up the house, I found Isaac's old math homework from last summer still stuck to the fridge. On the margin, he'd doodled a little cartoon of the house, with stick figures of all of us standing together. Tomorrow we're meeting with the trust lawyer to properly execute everything. Jack's been posting vague apologies on Facebook. Maria's prayer chain has mysteriously disbanded. Adeline's actually speaking up in family discussions. But here's the thing that keeps hitting me. Mom knew. She knew Jack might try something like this. That's why she hid the documents where only I would think to look. In the Christmas boxes I always helped her pack away every year. Sometimes protecting family means protecting them from themselves. I'll post one final update after everything's official. For now, I need to go buy some lemon cake ingredients. Mom's recipe, of course. Final update. It's been 2 weeks since my last update. The meeting with the trust lawyer happened, but that wasn't the end. It was just the beginning of what I'd set in motion months ago. Remember how I mentioned those potential buyers? Turns out one of them was a front for the City Historical Preservation Society. I've been in talks with them for months, sharing documentation about the house's historical significance, its architectural value, and most importantly, evidence of the development company's attempts to pressure local homeowners into selling. Yesterday, the City Council announced emergency preservation status for our entire neighborhood. That new development next door, the one Jack had been secretly consulting on, completely halted. Their permits are frozen, pending review. The property values Jack was banking on? They're not tripling anytime soon. But here's the beautiful part. While Jack was busy trying to force me out, I was documenting everything, every email, every conversation, every backdoor deal. I hadn't just been building a case for the trust. I'd been building a RICO case. The development company's lawyers reached out this morning. Seems they're very interested in discussing Jack's role as an unofficial consultant, particularly his failure to disclose his ownership stake in EFFD properties. The SEC has some opinions about that kind of thing. Maria's prayer chain has evolved into a support group for healing from betrayal. She filed for divorce 3 days ago after discovering Jack had mortgaged their house to buy options on adjacent properties. Those investments aren't looking so smart now. Adeline finally showed her backbone. She's been cooperating with the investigation, turning over years of documents Jack had asked her to hold on to. Turns out our sister has quite the memory for details when she's not playing the passive bystander. Isaac and Haley are staying with me temporarily while things settle. Last night we made Mom's lemon cake together. Isaac asked me if I'd really planned everything from the beginning. Not everything, I told him. Just enough. The trust is being reinstated exactly as our parents intended, with one modification. I'm the sole trustee now. The court agreed that someone who spent months protecting the property's legal status was a better choice than someone who tried to circumvent it for profit. Jack's legal troubles are just beginning. The development company is throwing him under every bus they can find to save themselves. His reputation in the business community? Gone. His social standing? The country club suddenly lost his membership paperwork. Amazing how quickly people distance themselves when the SEC gets involved. The family house? It's being restored to its original condition, funded by the Historical Society's grant program. They're particularly interested in the original features our parents preserved, the ones Jack wanted to gut for modern appeal. But the real satisfaction came this morning. I was having coffee on the porch when a moving truck pulled up to Jack's house. As I watched through binoculars, yes, I bought binoculars specifically for this, they loaded up his precious antique car collection. Seems the SEC doesn't just investigate, they also freeze assets. The local paper is running a story next week about community heritage preserved by a dedicated family member. They wanted to interview Jack too, but he's apparently unavailable for comment, probably because he's busy meeting with federal investigators. Adeline asked me yesterday if I felt bad about how everything turned out. I showed her the last family photo taken before Dad died, all of us on this very porch, smiling, united. Then I showed her the email where Jack called us obstacles to progress that needed to be managed. I feel exactly as bad as he would have felt if his plan had worked, I told her. The house stays in the family, as our parents wanted. The neighborhood stays preserved, as the community wanted. Jack stays under investigation, as justice wanted. And I stay here, watching it all unfold, exactly as planned. Isaac made a new doodle for the fridge. The house again, but this time with just 3 stick figures out front, the ones who deserve to be there. He wrote underneath, "Smart kid, he gets it from his uncle." P.S. To the development company's lawyers, who I know are reading this. Hi there. All documentation has been backed up in multiple locations. Might want to focus on damage control rather than intimidation tactics. Jack, since you're definitely reading this too, remember when you said it's just business, nothing personal? Turns out it can be both. The SEC investigator says hi, by the way. She enjoyed the lemon cake recipe.